In my last video, I started looking at teaching choreography, but I ran out of time before I covered what I think is one of the most important skills a teacher should have when teaching choreography, and incidentally, the one that actually sparked my decision to make this video. Hi, I'm Kashmir, and in my last video I looked at what order you should tackle teaching choreography and the tension between technique and actually learning the steps. In this video I want to look more at organisation and space. So directions, how to use space, where you should be, where your students should be, and how to build an interesting choreography. One of the most important skills a teacher can have is to know how to mirror her own combos. So what hand is this? Well, if I am facing you, this is my left hand. But if I turn around, it becomes my right hand. So you need to be able to split that. So if you're facing the class and teaching and you're saying move to the right and you go this way, oops, they don't know. Do we follow her or do we mirror? Most people have difficulty in actually mirroring. Make it easy for them. You do the mirror. One person, the teacher, does the mirror and everyone else follows in the same direction. So if you're having to go to the right, you actually step to the left. If you're having to go to the left, you actually step to the right. So get the hang of it. And in actual fact, you should learn to mirror the whole choreography. So you should be able to face the students and dance the choreography, and you should all move together as a unit. If you can't mirror the choreography, you probably don't know it well enough. Direction changes are one thing that will really slow people down when it comes to learning a choreography. Make it easy for them. Another thing to avoid as a teacher, never teach a choreography in a circle. There's lots of things you can do in circles. You can do drilling, you can do bits and pieces, but when you teach a choreography, even if the choreography is going to be in a circle, do not teach it in a circle. Teach it in lines, so everyone is going in the same direction. Face in the mirror if necessary, so you can actually see what they're doing. Ditto, if you have a lot of turns and spins and direction changes, consider taking them out initially, because you want people to get the technique and get the flow of it and get to know the music. You don't want them thinking, is that turning to the left, or is that turning to the right, or bang, crash. You don't want to do that. I made the mistake one year of teaching a choreography which was mirrored. So half the class went to the left, half the class went to the right. And I tried to teach it that way. Well, apart from the fact that sometimes people didn't turn up, so there were gaps everywhere, it really was very, very difficult. So nowadays what I do is I'll teach the whole thing to the right and then teach the whole thing to the left and then split the class in half. So don't try and do two directions at once. In general, leave the staging to the end. Often the majority of the choreography is pretty much fixed, but as you do the changes of direction and changes position in the dance on the stage, those bits can often be done later. Now you need to know how it's going to work, but they don't. All they need to do is to be able to follow the choreography. I remember doing a very large group choreography one year with Ada Noor. And we spent basically the morning learning the choreography, and then the afternoon she just did weird things with it. We did it in the circle. We did it with two lines facing each other. Two lines facing each other going in the same direction or in the opposite direction. So we played with it. So the choreography is one thing, the staging is quite separate. When you're teaching your choreography, teach it in blocks, not a whole lot of single moves or a whole lot of counts of 8. There should be a unit. So with a lot of the music I use a lot of ballady music, for example, which has a distinct chorus and verse. If your music has got a lump, then that's what you teach. So we teach the first chorus. which maybe however many counts, it doesn't really matter. And by the way, you don't have to teach counts if you're teaching it. I tend to sing mine. We go to the meow, but it's up to you. Often it's hard for people to actually count it, but most people can actually hear the changes in the music. So anyway, yeah, give yourselves blocks and give them a name. Now it can be something as simple as block 1 or block 2, but you'll also remember things like the apple block or the meow meow block or something like that, so people know. And then you can also call it out. So when you're then calling a choreography, you don't have to call every move. It's meow, zip, zip, and they know what to actually do. So they may come up with their own names for it, that's fine too. But think of the blocks, and especially if you've got repeats. What you don't want to do though is have these blocks all separate. So everyone can do each block. Nobody can transition between them. So spend some time actually working on the transitions between the blocks. So people actually can go from A to B to C. They're not standing at the end of A going, oh, B. It needs to actually be able to flow. So teach them as a block, but also teach the transition. Once you've taught the choreography, then you've got some time to actually reinforce it. And one easy way of reinforcing it is just to turn the whole class around 90 degrees or 180 degrees, i.e. not looking at the mirrors, and even better, looking in a completely different direction. So they're not thinking anymore walk towards the door, they have to have the feeling inside their own body. A really mean way to reinforce it is to use the choreography relay. I don't do that very often, but basically if you've got however many people in the class, you divide them into say 4 groups, and group 1 starts the choreography, and then you give a signal. Group 2 picks up from where group 1 was, then you give another signal. Group 3 picks up from where group 2 was, and then again 4. So they've got to keep an eye on the choreography, they've got to be running it through the head but not through their bodies, so they actually can go around. Now if you can do that, you really know the choreography well. Well, that was my experience. How does that work with your experience? Does it match up? Again, put it down there. Let's start a discussion about teaching choreography to students.